Oh yeah, freak out. Yeah, I'm looking right into the video scope, and this is Macho Man, #1 Macho Man impersonator, past, present, future, yeah. And I'm here to tell you, you are watching 49er Minded with Bashar. Yeah, the cream of the crop. Dig it?
49er Mind is
it's not just a thought process, but a way of life.
49er Mind. 49er Mind. I can't shake it. It's 49er Mind that I got. It's 49er Shine that I got. My psyche's on another Frisco Super Bowl. Don't sit slow, cause here we go with a super show. A red and gold session about our red and gold obsession. With some well-controlled expressions, let's talk about that win that we got. Who should have been in the spot? That's how they spin in the spot. Just all that back, all that crack, all that straight fumble sack. Or just dial it on up if you wanna talk smack. It don't matter what the storyline, as long as the story aligns with a 49er mind. 49er minded.
It's not just a thought process,
49er minded,
but a way of life. The Shard.
49er minded.
Way of life.
49er minded.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of 49er Minded, where we get into the minds of 49er fans. We got a special guest coming on, waiting in the wings. Just want to say what's up to some people in the chat room. We got Kenny. Says we got the #1 defense. What up, Mariah from 49er Faithful Lead podcast? She says, let's go. We got Wolf from Niner Gang Wolfcast. Definitely check out his YouTube channel and check out Mariah as well. We got Kylie Young. What's up, Callie? Says the cream of the crop. Let's go. Oh, yeah, Macho Madness. And so I don't want to make you guys wait any longer. We're going to bring our guest on, Ted H. from TED Talks Ball. How you doing, Ted? How's it going today?
Good, Bash. How you doing, buddy?
Awesome, man. I'm excited to have you on. I know I've been on your channel, and you've been pumping out shows like clockwork as of late. You just having all kinds of different kinds of guests on your channel. And for those of you guys who aren't familiar with Ted H's channel, I definitely put the link to his YouTube channel in the description box of this video. So we got Aaron from 49ers First Takes is here. Check out his channel. What's up, bro? How you doing? I always collab with that guy. Corey Davis is here. Says hello, 49er Minded. E Kim's here. Okay, cool, man. We got a lot of people here. I didn't expect this. Yeah, man. First of all, great to have you on. And I'm assuming you're some guy that grew up in the Bay Area, right? Is that where you pretty much grew up?
Yeah, pretty much. I was actually born in LA, and my parents lived there for a year. And so I'm not technically a Bay Area native, but 51 years, I think it counts for something.
Yeah, you're a Bay Area guy.
Yeah. Hey. Also, I just want to say thanks for having me on, and it's a real honor to be on your show. And thanks again. So it's really great.
You're always welcome. You're always welcome. Yeah. So since you grew up in the Bay Area, I mean, how did it all start with you becoming a 49ers fan? If you could tell us.
It all started in about 1976. My dad, it's kind of a funny story. My dad's actually from Dallas, and he knew better than to raise me as a Dallas Cowboys fan through and through. But the thing was, the Niners were terrible in 76, 77, 78, 79, 80. And so when the Niners were out, he kind of encouraged me he would watch the Dallas Cowboys and I would watch them with him. So I actually was a little bit of a Cowboys off-season Cowboys fan, during the playoffs. So like when the catch happened, I was happy for the Niners, obviously, but I would have been happier if it hadn't been against the Dallas Cowboys. Since then, obviously, I've grown to hate them. They are my second most hated team, after only the team we play this Saturday, the Seattle Seahawks.
Everybody has their own unique journey in terms of how they became a 49er fan. So that one definitely stands out like a sore thumb. Let me say what's up to Becky. She's here. Says howdy, Bashar. Yeah. So also, I always like to ask people questions about the 49er fans' experiences. Do you remember what the first jersey was that you owned? The first 49er jersey?
Yeah, it was Joe Montana.
Oh, Joe Montana, great one, man. Great choice right there. And you were there from the get-go, from when Joe first started too. So that's good to hear. Do you remember the first game that you ever attended at Candlestick?
I don't, to be honest with you. It was a long time ago.
Any Candlestick memory that really stands out early on?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I went to a lot of games at Candlestick. I was a season ticket holder there for several years. One funny story is my buddy and I, who I still go to games with, I'm going to go Saturday with him. He's still a season ticket holder at Levi's. And when we first got our tickets, we couldn't get them side by side. So we got the same seat in adjoining rows. I think it was rows 9 and 10. And so we called it Goose and Mad, because every time we had to like high five, we had to like turn around. One of us had to turn around and high five the other guy. One of my biggest memories of Candlestick wasn't super early on. It was actually later on. It was when Jerry Rice broke the receiving touchdown record. I mean, eventually he ended up with the overall record. He passed Emmitt Smith for that. But before that, I think he passed. I'm blanking on who the receiver was who held it. It was around 100, and Jerry got it was 99 or 100. Yeah, for a receiver.
Against the Raiders, right?
Yeah, no, it was
the
Dolphins. It was a Monday night game against the Dolphins, and it was raining like you would not believe, like one of these atmospheric rivers that we're getting pounded with recently. And Jerry got, I think, 3 touchdowns in the game. So he got like 99, 100, and then 101 to break the record, or 100, 101, and 102.
That was against the Raiders. If it was the 101 touchdowns. I definitely remember that. Yeah. That was the first game of the year, right? 1994. The Monday night game.
All I remember was it was raining. It was a Monday night, and I could swear it was the Dolphins.
Yeah.
I think the Raiders might have been when he broke the overall record, the Emmitt Smith record, right? Like 160 something touchdowns.
Let's see. I don't know. I'm a little confused now. I do remember he broke one record like the year before or something, and I don't know. 49ers, Jerry Rice. I just, we're going pretty far back. Sometimes we remember everything very well.
Yeah, it was like I want to say it was Steve Largent that held the record before Jerry Rice.
Steve Largent was really good. Yeah. So the touchdown record was definitely against the Raiders, though. Yeah, I have that pulled up. September 5th, 1994. So. Yeah, I definitely remember that game. It was a Monday night game.
Okay.
And yeah, Cal Young says so too. Yeah, I definitely remember watching. That was like the first game of the year. Remember Napoleon McCallum broke his leg or something like that.
Oh man.
Yeah. Oh, it's called.
I wonder what I'm thinking of then.
It's okay.
Yeah. Anyway. So
that's the year we won the Super Bowl. So that was a lot of fun watching that game. I remember Richard Dent had a sack that game, and I was like, oh, cool. Richard Dent's on the 49ers. And, and then a few games later, he gets injured and he's out for the season, but it didn't matter. We still won the Super Bowl. This is probably a good one for you because you grew up in the Bay Area most of your life, and you've been a Niner fan for quite some time. Do you have any cool experiences in terms of meeting 49er players?
Not a lot. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I've met. I mean, I met a Niner player. Okay. I have a family member who's an orthopedic surgeon who was the team trainer at CSM. And I met, this is not a famous name though. This is like one of those names of guys like, obscure 49er players. But I met Bill Ring when he was at CSM.
Bill Ring. Wow. See,
special team standout. Bill Ring, before he became a Niner, when he was still at CSM.
Wow.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, honestly, I haven't met many 49ers, oddly enough.
I thought somebody like you who's been around in the Bay Area all this time and been a huge Niner fan would have ran into all these Niner players. You proved me wrong. What up, Dion from Niner Game Podcast? Says, what's up, Ted Bashar? Shout out to you, Ted. Yeah, for those of you guys who don't know, that Ted H is really popular on Twitter. He's got all kinds of followers on Twitter, and I put his Twitter account in the description box of this video, along with his YouTube channel, Ted Talks Ball. I like the way you named it, though, because for those of you who know, like Ted Talks, the world famous TED Talks, they travel all around the world and do those seminars, and then you added ball to it. I thought that was really unique. I'm sure you had that in mind, right?
No, I never heard of it. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, of course. I felt like it, added a little credibility. I feel like the TED Talks people really know their stuff. And so I felt like people might think I knew my stuff if I named the show that. I went with ball because, I could have done TED Talks Niners, which is really mostly what my show is about, is the Niners. or I could have done football, to make it a little more broad. But I also wanted to be able to talk about Warriors and Giants and other sports, and so I just thought TED Talks Ball kind of leaves it open for more things than just the Niners. Even
There you
though
go. There you go.
so far I have not done anything but Niner shows.
I did a couple of Niner Warriors stuff here and there last year, and the problem with me is I'm not fully engaged into Warriors mode, even though I've been a Warriors fan since '88. I'm not fully engaged to Warriors mode until the 49ers season's completely done and finished. So that's just how I am. Some people are able to do both things simultaneously. I gotta wait it out.
Well, I think it's easier when you're not a content creator. You got a lot more time to do those things. I mean, anyone who knows me on the Twitter timeline has probably noticed that my presence has gone down a lot since I've been doing content creation. It takes a lot of time, and I'm the same way. I've watched a couple of Warriors games, but I'm waiting until the Niners are finished. We get number 6, and then then I can dive into the Warriors a little bit more.
So since you're a Bay Area guy, I'm just gonna assume this because maybe I'm wrong on this, but I hear you every now and then use a little hip hop lingo. So I'm gonna assume that every now and then you may have listened to some hip hop growing up or something. Were there any rappers that you listened to, or any rap songs or rappers that stand out to you, like that you may have listened to, or am I completely wrong? Yeah, that was never
No,
your
you're not
arsenal.
wrong. I wouldn't say I'm like a hip hop head. I mean, like I watch Grant Cohn talk about hip hop, and he definitely seems to be a little bit of an authority about it all. I was early on. I'm old, so I remember Beastie Boys and Run DMC, NWA, a lot of the early stuff. I even, more recently, like in the 2010s, got into Kanye West of all people. He's not really hip hop, but
Oh, he is.
I guess. But he's obviously kind of gone off the deep end since. So I'm like, oh boy, what does that say about me? That I like some of his songs. I hope it's not a reflection on my mental health, mental well-being. But
No, you're fine.
yeah, I mean, obviously there's tons of great hip hop here in the Bay Area, but I definitely missed some of it. I was there early, and like I said, just kind of swooped in later. But for a while there, I was sort of out of the scene, so I'm not as up on like E40 and
You said Beastie Boys because my brother and I, our friends, were really big on the Beastie Boys. Their first album that came out was really nice. I saw them live 3 times actually, so that's pretty crazy. You mentioned NWA. NWA was, I don't think there was one person who was either in junior high, high school, or maybe out of high school, or even elementary school at the time that wasn't listening to NWA when they were the hottest thing out there. And they even made a movie about them. But they had an awesome run. What up, JR Meadows? He's already making predictions. He says 38-15 Seahawks. Okay, there you go. And Kenny says you seem like a hard rock guy. I don't know if that's true or not, but
I mean, I don't know if it's hard rock. I listened to some of that, some Scorpions and Judas Priest and Def Leppard, although that's not that hard. I was more like classic rock. I was a lot
I
of
like classic rock.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Queen. I like Freddie Mercury a lot.
Really
Crazy Voice. The way he could just hit all the octaves was unbelievable. Those are some of my early formative bands for sure.
Cool. So we're gonna get into the Seahawks playoff talks really soon. We're almost there, but I do got to drop my pizza question. So so what up, Sentinel's here? What's up, Sentinel? Yeah, it's definitely going to be raining in Levi's. I got you, Sentinel. Yeah, so a lot of people eat pizza when they watch football, or vice versa, and everybody has their favorite. Do you have a preference when it comes to your style of pizza? Would it be a New York style deep dish, or whatever? Anything out there that you like in terms of pizza that's a preference?
I mean, I like most pizza. It's hard to, as long as it's got some meat on it and some cheese and good sauce. I mean, probably my favorite is Amici's has this combo, and you can get it with slow roast garlic on it. It's pretty good. It's got bacon, pepperoni, meatballs, which sounds weird for a pizza, but they like slice them thin like the pepperoni.
I've seen that.
Yeah, and that's a hell of a pizza. But I like Tony's Slice House up in the city.
Tony's is really good. Tony's is very good.
Yeah, I've always, I grew up on Round Table. That's early formative pizza for me. And I live nearby the original Round Table Pizza now.
Last on his
Um,
pizza.
yeah, no, but I like deep dish. I don't like to wait for deep dish. That's the problem for me. Like the 45-minute cook time can be a bit of a killer on that. So I'm more of like, I like more toppings ratio to crust, ideally. But as long as there's lots of meat and cheese, I'm gonna be happy with most.
You can't go wrong with that. I've had a meat cheese before. And Tony's Slice House, the Slice House I had at the Giants game was one of the best New York slices I've ever had. And their San Francisco location is very good too. So Tony Gimiani, the owner of Slice House, is a world pizza champion. Just to let everybody know. So you can't go wrong with anything from Tony's. And he has a sit-down restaurant that I haven't gone to yet, but I heard it's really good. All right, so just want to say what's up to some people. We got Sentinel here. He's talking about Pizza in My Heart, and Lo the Truth is here. Says sounds delicious. Good to have you guys on. Hey, we're gonna jump right into this, man. 49ers are a 10-game win streak. 10-game win streak. It's pretty awesome. I mean, and we're playing the Seattle Seahawks out of all teams in the playoffs. Do you still have any I don't know what call it, nightmares or any like bad flashbacks for the NFC Championship game that we lost when we lost to Seattle?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Richard Sherman, going off on Aaron Andrews after the game, pardon me, about Crabtree, and you don't bring that in this house, and it was traumatic. I thought we were the best team in football all three of those years running, 2011, 2012, and 2013. I think somebody was bringing up that it really shows how a season can pivot on one play, where the Ahmad Brooks neck stretch of Drew Brees cost us that game, and then losing that game cost us home field, and losing home field, you could argue, cost us the NFC Championship. It's hard to imagine that if we played that at the Stick, that we wouldn't have beaten the Seahawks there.
That was on the Twitter space. The conversation we were on yesterday, right? They were bringing that up. They're also bringing up had Jimmy G not thrown the pick 8 or whatever and stepped out for the safety against the Denver Broncos, we'd be the number 1 seeded team. So it's always with a coulda, shoulda with this Niner team. It sucks, man. I don't want to be in a position where we have those stupid excuses, because it just kills us. What up, Jesus Christ, my King? Good to have you here. Yeah, I mean, playing the Seahawks, we got Pete Carroll walking around the sidelines with his bubblegum chewing bobblehead that he always does. And it's, battle of the coaches, man. Kyle Shanahan right now. I mean, they're talking about him as they're putting him in the conversation with Walsh and Seifert. People were talking about wanting to fire Shanahan. Some fans hate Shanahan, but hey, he's among Walsh and Seifert. Shanahan's right there up with him with winning 13 games for multiple seasons, man.
Yeah, I mean, and Seifert took over from Walsh, so it's not like he built something the way Kyle did. I mean, he did. You could maybe discredit him a little on the 1989 Super Bowl, but then you got to give him 95, because they kind of did have to rebuild quite a bit to get that team going. So I still give Seifert the slight edge, but that's how I go. I go Walsh, Seifert, Shanahan, Harbaugh.
A lot of people have Harbaugh over Shanahan.
Yeah, I mean, Harbaugh's a great coach. He came in and he took an underperforming team and got them to perform. So there's some value in that. But like what Shanahan has done with rebuilding a 2-14 team, pretty much, with only maybe 4 good players on the whole roster. We had basically Ward, Tart, Armstead, and Defoe, I think, are the only 4 that I would say were even worth a darn on that squad. Maybe Carlos Hyde, and took us from 2-14 to a Super Bowl in 2019, NFC Championship last year, number 2 seed this year, looking like the strongest team in the NFC, or, maybe the second strongest behind the Eagles. That's up for debate. But, just what the offense has been looking like with Shanahan, with Brock Purdy, it's super encouraging. I mean, I think maybe it was in that space yesterday too. They were talking about 35 points a game, every game except for the Seahawks game that was 21, that dragged the average down to 33 points under Purdy, or 32.
At 33 is still pretty awesome.
It's amazing. Yeah, especially when you have a really good defense. I'll say we're number 1 statistically. I I think you got to wait till the whole end of the season to say we're number one overall. But so far, good claim to being the number one defense in football.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, this defense has been doing awesome things. The only thing we really, really haven't been doing is getting the big, gigantic sack numbers, minus Bosa. But other than that, defense in most categories is pretty, really, really nice. Well, we got Perk Dog here. What's up? How you doing? Great to have you here. Yeah, appreciate it. We got Pule. What's up, Pule? From the LA area, says Go Niners. Great to have him here. Yeah, I mean, this defense is almost the epitome of a bend don't break defense when it comes to the passing game, though, because like passing run defense, I mean, it's just we dominate obviously in terms of yards and all that. But the pass defense, sure, we do give up yards, probably middle of the pack when it comes to that. But we're not really giving up tons of touchdown passes, or when we do give up certain yards, we're stopping teams from scoring in general, right? We're still stopping teams from scoring.
Yeah, no, the defense has looked really good. The only thing I kind of look at is top QBs that we've faced. It's obviously Mahomes. We saw what he did. Brady, I don't know that I really call him a top QB anymore. He's really good still, and definitely maybe top 10. But I don't think he's like in that top 5 type of category anymore. And we've seen a lot of banged up offensive lines that we faced, from the Rams to the Chargers to the Dolphins were missing both their tackle when we played them. And some of the offensive lines just weren't that good to begin with. So I do think that our defense, we saw it with the Raiders, right? Here's a team nobody expected them to come in, to put those kind of numbers up on us New Year's Day, especially not with a backup quarterback in Jarrett Stidham. But they do have really elite weapons. I don't know that there are many teams that have better weapons than the Raiders, with Devontae Adams, one of the best receivers in football. Waller, he's not much of a blocker, but he's definitely one of the best receiving tight ends in football. And Renfro's a hell of a slot receiver. And we saw Josh Jacobs. I mean, that guy's just a beast, leading the league in rushing. He was peeling off 6, 9, 10 yards on almost every first down against us. So it was really scary.
Yeah, my friend in the chat, Kenny, he's a big running back guy. He thinks the 49ers should go after Josh Jacobs. And I don't know, I think Josh Jacobs is going to ask for a hefty price tag. And, we got CMC, we got Elijah Mitchell. So, Perk Dog, thank you for bringing this up. He said, bro, I just realized I wasn't subscribed. I am now. Y'all, I am now, though. Y'all hit the like button, show fam some love. Hey, we really, really appreciate here. 49er Minded. If you are a viewer, if you're a brand new viewer, if you're a loyal viewer, and you still are not subscribed to the channel, it's very easy. Just click subscribe, please. I'd really, really appreciate it. Also, always hit the like button, and definitely show Ted H some love on his channel. Subscribe to his channel. Check out his channel on the description box of this video. And what up, Brandon? Brandon for Forever Faithful Podcast. I'm going to be collabing with him later tonight on his channel. And Jesus Christ, my King says, is that Kenny from the old days on Rumble? Yeah, he's in the chat. He said, if you scroll up earlier, you'll see him. Maybe he's still around here. I'm not sure. we got some former Rombo guys here that, we're all just one big family in terms of the 49er YouTube community, of course. Let me ask you this really quick about the whole Brock Purdy thing, because obviously he's doing a really, really nice job. Where do you see Brock Purdy in terms of what he's done for us this season? And I've seen a lot of people on social media make the claim that he's already our franchise quarterback, and they're putting him up, say, hey, lock him in for 10 and 12 years. Where are you at with Brock Purdy in general and your overall assessment of him so far?
Oh, man. I mean, it's hard to imagine being any happier with a guy that was picked last in the draft and who's, third string quarterback coming into the season. His accuracy is amazing. His decision making is amazing. His mobility is really good. His footwork is really good. His pocket presence is really, really good. The only things that I see about him as possible shortcomings, pun intended, he's a little bit short at 6'1.5" and he maybe lacks a little bit of arm strength. Not that there haven't been great QBs in the past that haven't had great arms. I mean, Joe Montana didn't have a great arm. Drew Brees didn't have a great arm. Even people will say Brady didn't. But I do think all of them had stronger arms than Brees. And then also, I'm not saying that Brees can't improve his arm, right? We've seen people get stronger. I know that I saw something that Purdy had already worked on that pre-draft and in the off season. So I think he already has gotten quite a bit stronger. So I don't know how much more there is to go with that. But the guy, he seems to have unlocked Kyle's offense, right? I mean, just look at Kittle, right? I mean, Kittle has never had more than 6 or 7 TDs in a whole season. And all of a sudden he's got 7 in 6 games with Brock Purdy. I mean, that's incredible. He's got 11 for the season. I think that's tied for 3rd in the whole league. I think it's like Devontae at 14, Kelsey at 12, and like Kittle and a couple other guys at 11. I'm like, who would have ever thought that? I thought it was possible, but I didn't think it was possible with Jimmy G, and I didn't think when Purdy came into the game against Dolphins, I certainly did not think this was what was going to happen. So I'm tickled about all that. I do think though that as we go into the playoffs, that all these like Mr. Irrelevant stories and 3rd string stories and all that, and people try and keep comparing him to Lance. And I'm like, look, Lance is out. Let's not talk about Lance until the offseason. It's not about Purdy versus Lance right now. It's about Purdy versus the other quarterbacks in the playoffs. And so we got to stop looking at him as a rookie, as a 7th string or 7th rounder, as a 3rd stringer, and just be like, now he's a playoff quarterback. How does he rank as that? And it looks real good statistically, but I will say that in those 6 games, we've played some bad defenses and some defenses that were good, that were very injured, that made them look a lot worse than their ranking might tell you. So I'm not saying that I'm expecting him to do worse, but I wouldn't be shocked if he does a little bit worse in the playoffs. I also think playoffs are officiated differently. That they help defenses, they let the defenses hold more, and so it'll be interesting to see how Brock does. I don't think that it'll be like a Jimmy G thing though, where like Jimmy G is pretty good in the regular season and then falls off a cliff in the playoffs. I don't think that at all. I think Purdy will still be real good, but will he be like 30 plus points a game? I highly doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, 30 plus points a game is a lot to expect in the playoffs, but I mean, we're going to be playing teams with stronger D lines, stronger secondaries, and just overall better coach teams. So again, I'm not expecting him to come out there and throw 4 interceptions in the playoffs or anything like that, but there might be the game where he struggles and the rest of the team has to pick him up and pick themselves up and win it. It's just because he's a young, obviously rookie quarterback. He's playing in the playoffs for the first time, and we'll see how it plays out. Though he might. The thing about Brock Purdy is, it's we've seen it. There's always that lapse in the game where he starts doing bad and he's missing on passes, and then the doubt hits your mind, right? Like, okay, well, I guess this is the game that he finally looks like a rookie, and then lo and behold, he picks himself up off the floor and starts throwing to Kittle or Ayuk and making things happen. So, hey man, we're enjoying the ride. We're gonna see how far we go with it. I like our team in comparison to other teams in terms of winning the Super Bowl. I like our chances. Definitely like our chances. I like our chances a little better than I did last year. So we're going to have fun with it. Let me say what's up to Platform 246. Check out his YouTube channel. What up, Lawrence? Lawrence is here. He was on Ted H's channel just the other day, I believe.
Yesterday.
And, yeah, there you go. Cowboys Angels here. He says, go Niners. Brock is our new Chris Paul. I wouldn't want to be our Chris Paul, though. Chris Paul hasn't won a ring, so that means let's say Steph Curry. Right? I don't know. So yeah, man. So I got a few other questions here. Just want to make sure I'm not missing any comments. Jesus Christ, my king says if Kyle runs the ball down their throat, then that will open up the passing game for Purdy. Yeah, I truly believe so. I was going to actually drop a question about Kittle, but it's cool that you already brought it up. Right now, we're seeing Kittle bring out a whole new aspect of his game, being the red zone threat. And at one point, I don't want to talk about this too much, but at one point, we were kind of blaming Jimmy about it. And then I was thinking, okay, well, maybe it's not Jimmy's fault. Maybe Kittle's just not a red zone guy. Maybe he just, he doesn't we saw Kittle like his feet weren't set in the end zone sometimes. But now he's toe tapping and now he's doing the things that Kelsey does. So it's really nice to have. It's a great advantage to our team.
You know what I think it is? I was thinking about that. I think I was in there for that too. And you know what I think it is? I think it's just Jimmy is one read quarterback, and Kittle is rarely the first read down there. I think that's what it comes down to. And so, like, Brock is surviving longer. He's keeping plays alive, and he's finding Kittle where Jimmy did.
You have a very good point there, because sometimes when the Kittle touchdowns happen, you'll notice it's like further down the line. It's not like he just snaps the ball, throws it right away to Kittle, right? It's like he's surveying the situation, he leaks out, and then he'll throw it. And it's always this really nice, like dramatic looking catch. What's up, Joey Mahoney? Says, what's up, Bash? What's up, Ted? It's time to go, baby. It's go time, baby. I messed that up. Got to say it right again.
Yeah, if you look at Kittle's touchdowns against the Raider, the second one in the left corner against the Raiders, and the first one in the left corner against the Cards, for sure the first one against the Raiders, he came all the way across the formation, so no way that was the first read. And then even the one against the Cards, I felt like was at least the second or third read. So
Kenny brought up something great. It's actually one of my topics that I do have on here. Hopefully Debo comes to comes back to life. And how much do you want to see Debo use this in this game, and in what capacity?
I would love to see a lot of Debo, and I would love to see us rest Christian McCaffrey more until we really, break glass into emergency on CMC. I feel like he is our ace in the hole, kind of like how Debo was in 2021. But I'd like to see a lot of Debo, because I think we need to get him back into game shape. I don't think he's really been in full shape this whole season. And we may want to do that gradually. So maybe not a ton in this game, but definitely more than what we saw in the Cards game. I was saying to somebody that I thought we'd see about 5 touches for Debo in this game, up from, I think he only had 3 in the Cards game. Maybe 5 to 7 touches, somewhere in that range. I think that my guest said 7, so I'll steal their answer and add it to mine. Say 5 to 7 touches for Debo against the Seahawks, maybe.
Yeah, and I definitely want to see Debo used as an actual receiver more so than as getting touches as a running back. I mean, we did one cool thing this last game, that we had him in the backfield, and then Debo ran out for a pass to the left sideline, and he got about 15 yards, I think, or something like that, and then it led to one of the touchdowns. May have been a field goal, but it was just a cool little play where we had Debo out in the backfield to catch a pass, which was nice. I like that. I don't necessarily want, we have all these running backs, why smash Debo up the middle?
That's what I was just going to say. We've got plenty of backs. We got McCaffrey. We've got Elijah Mitchell. We got Mason. I don't think we'll see much TDP against the Seahawks unless somebody gets injured. I just think that we'll go with those top 3. And mostly just CMC and Mitchell is what I really expect.
Going into these playoffs, though, would you say this is the best 49ers backfield since the Ricky Waters, William Floyd, and backfield that we had for the Super Bowl?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think Christian McCaffrey is better than Ricky Waters. And
oh, wow. Okay.
And Juszczyk is
I like Floyd better than Juice.
I mean, Floyd was so massive and physically imposing. It's hard not to love him. But just, the career-wise, bar none had such a short career, and Juice has been so prolific. But yeah, I think it's definitely a better backfield. We didn't have anybody like Elijah Mitchell as a second back then. Yeah, no, I like this backfield.
Yeah,
if not
amazing.
Straight up every position, definitely as a group.
Yeah, the depth. I think the depth of this backfield dwarfs the one of that Super Bowl team, in my opinion. We had Mark Logan. I forgot. Yeah.
And the reason why I said that about McCaffrey is I don't know if you saw, but there was a graphic towards the end of the Cards game that they flew where they were saying basically, like, CMC is tied for 3rd all time for yards game, scrimmage yards per game. So number 1 was Jim Brown.
Oh wow, okay.
He was around 122 yards per game, and then number 2 was Barry Sanders. Not surprisingly, and I think he was in the high teens. And then CMC and Terrell Davis were both tied at 114.
So for this season, you mean, right? On average per game this season?
This is career.
Oh, career. Okay, career.
Yards per game career with a minimum of 70 starts. So you can't just be like a short-term.
I thought Marshall Faulk or
somebody who's played
Roger
like almost 5 seasons or more. And then a 5th was Walter Payton at 112. And so when you're ahead of Walter Payton, I mean, that's really saying something to me.
That
So
is huge. I forgot to say what's up to somebody. We got Brian Cope here. Says Bashar and Ted, how you doing? Great to have you here. Raphael 5629ers is here. Great supporter of the channel. I don't think I missed it. Panama Queen is here. What's up, Panama? How you doing? I don't think I missed anybody. I always make sure I got to shout out everybody in the chat if they're here. I appreciate all the chatters. You guys make the show happen, and the viewers obviously do as well. Yeah, I love our backfield, and since we have a strong running game, is it safe to say that the rain favors us in this game? It is going to rain. It's going to be rainy out there.
normally I would say yes, especially because the Seahawks, at least when we played them, had the second to worst run defense in the NFL. But because it's the Seahawks and they get so much more rain up there than we do down here, typically they might be a little bit better acclimated to playing the rain than us. So I would say it still helps us because it'll make it tougher for them to throw. It'll be a little tougher for Geno to connect with DK, and that's one of the bigger guys we worry about. Again, pun intended. But I would say it'll help us, but maybe not as much as a dome team or a drier climate team might be hurt.
I was just saying in terms of our style, of play,
running, yeah, absolutely favors the run, and we're a much better run team.
And we're facing Geno Smith. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's about it.
Okay, I thought you had more to add. Sorry about that. Geno Smith, he's actually, this is the first season where he actually looks like a real NFL quarterback. A lot of people say he sucks and whatever, but I wouldn't say he sucks this season. I mean, at one point in time, he was averaging about he had a 70% completion percentage. I believe it dropped down to like 69, which is still really, really good. I mean, I do see him dinking and dunking a lot, but hey, he does have two amazing playmakers as well that he could air it out to. Obviously, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. If Lenore gets beat on a huge play early, and it's really bad, do you see Shanahan pulling him out a la Akella Witherspoon versus the Minnesota Vikings in the playoffs?
Oh, and put in like Jackrabbit Jenkins or Womack or something. I don't know. You're not going to go with the rookie. I don't know. I mean, I think he would have to get burned repeatedly. I think it would have to be like he's getting burned, and now we're getting to a point like where we may not be able to recover from it. I think he's going to have a pretty long leash, Lenore. I don't think that Jackrabbit Jenkins is much better in pass coverage, and I definitely don't think he's as good in run fit, which is a big thing, especially when Kenneth Walker is a pretty good back for the Seattle Seahawks for a rookie. Yeah, that's a good question, and I think Lenore will get some slack.
Yeah, and where we were talking the Spaces history, shout out to everybody in the Twitter Space. It's been a while since I was on there actually, and a lot of people were bringing up. I think it was that guy that comes on there named John Lynch, the GM, the general manager of the San Francisco 49ers. A buddy of mine named John Lynch actually. I think he was saying that Lenore gives up about 39 yards per game. So if that's the case, I mean, in terms of a yardage standpoint, that's not that big of a deal, in my opinion. I mean, sure, you see that one play that stands out like a sore thumb, but in general, I mentioned we're a very bend but don't break defense. And when it comes to giving up plays in the passing game, sure, we've given up yards. We're like middle of the league in terms of yards given up in the passing game. But eventually, that pass rush picks up. We just once we get closer to the red zone type area, it's very difficult for teams to score on us.
No, that's absolutely true. Yeah, I think hopefully we'll scheme a bit of help for Lenore, maybe shift Gibson over a little bit to try and help him with his assignment, and maybe leave Mooney a little bit exposed on DK Metcalf, which is scary, but I still think that might be the way to do it. And I was going to mention also about the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, they have the two big weapons that everybody knows with DK and Lockett, but they also have three real solid tight ends with Will Dissly, Kobe Parkinson, and Noah Fant, who came over from Denver in the Russ Wilson trade. And so those guys, none of them are world beaters. None of them are going to be compared to Kittle or Kelsey or Waller or Mark Andrews, any of the top tight ends. But they all catch and they all block. And if you look at our tight ends further down the depth chart, that's something that we don't have a lot of. Tyler Kroft a little bit can do that, But Warner is pretty much just a blocker, and Dwelly has incredible hands, maybe the best in the league, but he can't block himself out of a paper bag when he's in line. Give him a little head of steam, like from the fullback or coming across the formation, he can get up some momentum and then he can plow some people down. But if he's just at a standstill, he's going to get owned most times.
Yeah, you put up that's a great point. I mean, our backup tight ends don't really do much other than block. I mean, Warner. I mean, we've heard for years about especially from Grant Cohn about how good the backup tight end is. I just forgot his name. Dwelly. Yeah, Dwelly. I just call him Dwelly. He had one really good preseason. I remember.
Lost the boss. Some people call him.
He's just not involved in the offense enough to be a factor. He's just not. I mean, we don't. When did we ever throw to him? And it's just like, I don't know, man. I'm hoping we can upgrade from that position and have a similar tight end room to the Seahawks have. They have a lot of good depth there. And Warner.
Dwelly did have that one really big catch for a TD against the Seahawks.
Yeah, when nobody covered him.
Yeah, Jimmy came in. Right, nobody covered him because they're like, "Who's this guy?" And he had that huge catch TD. And the other thing about him is like he's got hands and he tends to get open. But like other than that one play, because he did score on it, like every other time he makes the catch and it's like zero yak. And I'm over exaggerating, but like almost no yak. It's like he's stuck in mud after he makes a catch. And so yeah, I mean, I love his hands, but after that, there's not a lot that I love about Ross Dwelly.
Yeah, true. Excellent point. Yeah, I was going to say really quick about this Niner team. Since the season closed out, who do you think is the most underrated player on this team that really stood out for you?
That's a good one. I mean, there's a few, but like Burford would be one for me. Late 4th round pick, starter day one. I mean, he wasn't 100% starter because he switched off with
Brian Brunskill. People say they think I look like him, but Brian Brunskill, yeah.
Yeah, Brunny. So yeah, Dan Brunskill, he's pretty good. Well, you know what? And now it looks really brilliant that they did that, because then when Banks goes down, Brunskill flops over to the left guard, and I won't say he's been as good as Banks, but we haven't really noticed him, right? I mean, there haven't been too many times where like, oh, Brunskill. So maybe that platooning was really good. I could never figure it out why we were doing it. And it seems to be like that maybe really paid off.
I called him Brian. I don't know why. I guess Brian. He looks like a Brian. I don't know. That's
I was struggling his whole name in general until you gave me Brunskill, then it popped in. So
I don't know. He's got. Hey, by the way, Brunskill has probably one of the better looking girlfriends or fiancés or wife, whatever she is, on the team, in my opinion. If you see his Instagram, so he's doing pretty good for himself. What up, Shabs? Nice. Shabs is in the house. He says, "Can't wait for the Seattle game. Let's go, baby." Hey, I'm pumped up for this. I want a 3-peat just to smack these guys in the playoffs. Raphael says Niners need to watch out for the Seahawks special teams trick plays. Yeah, we do. Remember they ran that stupid Travis Homer play on us. And David McNiner is here. He says, "What's up, Bashar and Ted? Good to have you here." So what Mahoney's saying, this is a very good answer, actually. Yeah, there are a few answers. So there was no right or wrong answers in terms of, but hey, this is a great answer. You say
Gibson's really good.
Yeah, that's a very underrated signing too. I mean, it was I think it was the middle of the freaking training camp. They announced the signing, and people were like, Gibson, like, oh, he's a former Pro Bowl player from 5 or 6 years ago. I don't know. And we picked him up and it was like, okay, whatever, let's see what he does. And man, we just plugged him in, and it's been pretty damn good ever since, man.
Yeah, no, Gibson's been great. What a revelation. I mean, good enough that poor Jimmy Ward's been stuck at nickel, but he's done really well there too. So our defense has done really well since we've had Jimmy Ward up to speed at nickel and Eric Armstead back at defensive tackle. I felt like that's when we really started to feel number 1D, even though statistically we were number 1D quite a few times in the season before that.
Yeah. Well, especially when we had Mosley too. Losing Mosley really made it. I mean, imagine if we had Mosley going into these playoffs. So it's I still love our defense, but I even though it may not look like the most dominant defense at the league every now and then, minus Mosley, but I still think it's going to be pretty damn good enough to do what we need to do in these playoffs. That's how I truly feel about it. Raphael 562 Niners mentioned Odom is doing great on our special teams. I totally agree. He had an interception too. He picked off who? McSorley or whatever. Yeah. Says Odom leads the leagues in special teams tackles. Okay. And the special teams also, we got Mitch Wisnowski doing pretty well, actually. Got 99 problems, but a Mitch ain't one. I believe I pulled up a stat line. He has about 36 punts within the 20-yard line this season. So that's a pretty good stat. And yeah. And Robbie Gold, for the most part, I don't know. Usually he's pretty good, but I don't know about him missing that field goal in that Raider game.
Yeah, that was painful. But at least he atoned for it at the end. So that's fine.
Yeah, he sure did. We made it a little easier for him. We brought it in closer. I mean, whatever. At least it was in his normal making range.
I'll tell you what.
Go ahead.
When Mason scored that TD, I'd been real nervous all game. I was watching with family members, and they said, "All right, Ted, do you feel better now?" And I said, I don't, because I thought we left too much time on the clock. I wanted to see us run the ball, run the clock, kick a field goal, win the game before, then we would have won by 3 instead of going up by 7 with so much time that they could come down and tie it up like they did. So I don't know that there was enough downs to drain them with all their timeouts and everything, but that was what my gut was telling me at that point.
Yeah, you mentioned Mason. I love it when Mason gets the ball. Good things usually happen. We got never seen this guy in the channel before. His name is Duplenty, if I'm saying that right. Welcome to the channel. If you're brand new, I'm assuming you are. Subscribe. If this team executes on both sides of the ball, nobody's beating them. Oh, without a doubt. Joey likes it when I say that, by the way. He said, what's the word on Greenlaw? Greenlaw and Aaron Banks and Demetrius Flanagan-Foles both were limited in practice today. I'm not sure if you know more about that, Ted.
No, I just remember seeing something where somebody was saying that if Sunday had been a playoff game, that Greenlaw might have played if it was, a more important game. So that makes me believe he'll probably play Saturday against the Seahawks. And maybe Givens too, because there was talk about him coming back for the playoffs. The one that I'm less certain about is Aaron Banks, but I suppose there's a chance he could too. If you said he's limited today, then maybe he could too.
Yeah, we'll talk a little D-line now. You brought up Greenlaw, and I was just thinking about the defense in general. Now Seattle has some weaknesses at the tackle position. Abraham and did you see Bosa, stepping up and saying, "Hey, this is my time to shine. I didn't get the sack record, but hey, man, I'm here to wreak havoc on this weak Seattle O-line." You see like a multiple sack game for Bosa and him getting any help, perhaps?
That's the big question. Amenahu and Ebukam have fallen off a little bit towards the end of the season. Amenahu had a nice pressure against the Raiders. I remember they were driving down. It was 7-7, I believe, and he got a nice pressure, forced an incompletion, and they kicked a field goal to go up 10-7 against us. So I do recall that as being one of his standout good plays recently. But and Ebukam, I think, had some nice plays against the Cards. He had a sack or something. Yeah, will Bosa get 2? I don't know. I mean, will he deserve to? Absolutely. Will he get held and there won't be called a holding? Absolutely. We saw it in the last game. Well, on that pick 6, it was a pick 6 by Lenore of all people. I mean, much maligned Lenore could have really gotten himself a lot of equity with a pick 6. Yeah, I mean, I think he'll deserve to. I think he'll probably get 1. I think it'll be like let him hold them all game, and then towards the end, if there's a big play with the game on the line, he'll just bull rush somebody into the QB and get his sack for the game. I think he'll get.
There you go. Okay. All right. So there was a good question in the chat. Joey Mahoney says, "Where's Landlord?" Landlord's a guy who was watching my show, the Raiders post game show, and he called in and had this really funny call. So Landlord, if you're watching, drop a comment in the chat or drop a comment on the video after the show's over. Do something and let us know you're here, man, because we want to see you back here. On the post game shows, I'm going to start doing call-ins, and on my weekly shows, like what I'm doing right now, is more of who I feature the guests, especially if it's a first time guest. I want to make sure they're the featured guy, so we don't really do call-ins on these shows, but I'm going to implement more call-in type shows, and we might do just a full call-in show on Saturday, or maybe Friday. If I do put one out, I'll let you guys know. Follow me on Twitter or my social media, 49er Minded on Twitter, 49er Minded on Instagram, 49er Minded Facebook group. you want to keep up with what's going on. And there is a community tab on the Facebook. We got a new guy in the chat, Alex E. Let me see if I can say this. Izquierdo. I know a little Spanish. I had to really focus on that name, though. He says, notice how Debo was a bit quiet and limited to the plays last game, but watch Kyle unleash the beast this Saturday. Yeah, Kyle's got to get in his bag. I totally agree. We're going to see a bit more. I wouldn't mind seeing the jet sweeps back, though. At least the jet sweeps where he's more on the perimeter. I like Debo on the perimeter. Don't want him running up the middle. But hey, Alex, man, welcome to the channel. If you're brand new, definitely subscribe. Hit that like button. We really appreciate you here, though. And yeah, man. So Joey Mahoney says Eric Armstead always seems to step up in the playoffs. I like Armstead coming back in the fold where he pushes the pocket and helps Bosa out. Hopefully, we soon see more of that. I want to ask you. So, and for those of you who asked about Kalia Davis, the 49ers shut down the window on Kalia Davis today. They pretty much, I guess maybe he's not necessarily in football shape just yet. He had a few weeks of practices, and we're getting Givens back. But let me ask you this though, Ted H. The little you've seen of Kinlaw so far in his comebacks, what do you think so far?
I haven't really noticed him much, which is probably not a great thing. But I think the biggest thing for what I want from a defensive tackle like Kinlaw isn't necessarily a lot of sacks or a lot of tackles. Those are nice, but really I just want him to keep Fred and Dre and Aziz clean so that they can make the plays. So I know he played like 16 snaps against the Commanders and 22 against the Raiders. I don't know what his count was.
It was 22 for the last game. It was 22 for the last game as well.
So 16, 22, and 22. Okay, for 3 games. So, and that's sort of what I figured, that that's about what they want to do. They don't want to risk him. They want to get him enough to get him into game shape, but not risk him for the playoffs. I'm worried about Kinlaw's knee, obviously, as we all are. I think defensive tackle is one of our weak areas. Eric Armstead's a stud. Kinlaw can be when he's healthy, but from people I think who've paid more attention to it than I have, it sounded like he's still kind of limping around. It doesn't look like his knee is right. For me, I'll wait and see how he does in the playoffs. I think if he can contribute in the playoffs, then I'll be pretty happy. But I worry about him getting injured. I worry about Givens until he's back. When is he going to be back? That type of thing. And then, from there, we got T.Y. McGill, who's played really well. But, for what he is, which is like a guy off the street that we signed off of the Vikings practice squad. And then I thought Akeem Spence was playing pretty well, but then we released him and put him back onto the practice squad. I think that's just to make room for Givens. And then I guess there's this guy, Dwumfor, who is he's the one.
That's the name I always forget, by the way.
Yeah, well, I only know it because I typed it into my comments of my show and a tweet or two about it, because he was the one who recovered Jordan Willis's forced fumble.
Great play by Jordan Willis, by the way. He's actually stepping up. He's looking like he's ready to make some plays, man.
Yeah, maybe.
Was he a third-round draft pick or something like that, Jordan Willis, or second rounder?
I don't remember. I only remember that we didn't pay much for him. We got him from the Jets. And I think it was like a pick swap, like a 6th for a 7th or a 5th for a 6th or something like that. It was very reasonable. Same with Amenahu too. We got both of those guys for I wouldn't say pennies, but definitely didn't overpay for either one of those guys. And they've worked out pretty well. Maybe Willis will be that other guy on the edge. It seems like we're pretty stuck on Ebukam though for now as the starting, I think, because Ebukam is such a good run defender, but Willis is a hell of a run defender too.
Yeah, Jordan Willis was drafted in the 3rd round. He ran a 4.56 40, has all the measurables. He just never panned out in Cincinnati, but he's looking really nice in our rotation. And he's the guy who blocked that field goal in the Green Bay championship, in the Green Bay Packers playoff game, actually, where Hufanga got the touchdown. Yeah,
he also pulled down blocker that was going to block Jimmy Ward when Jimmy Ward skied up and blocked the field goal before that. So
okay, that's right. That's right.
Both of those special teams plays that really helped us to beat the Green Bay Packers in the divisional round last year.
And great that you mentioned Ty McGill earlier, because he's been a really nice pickup. especially since we lost Givens. And awesome to hear that Givens is coming back. I really liked what Givens was doing this year. We did lose Ridgeway. Ridgeway is not coming back this season, but Low the Truth 05 says, y'all remember when McGill got that sack and was doing his dance, then Jimmy Ward jumped in, I was rolling. That was a really, really nice sack by McGill. It wasn't like a coverage sack where it took forever. He beat his man right away and boom, pounced on the QB.
Yeah, he's had a few nice plays. He had a great tackle against the Raiders on, I think it was on 4th and goal, where Eric Armstead really just crushed the guy trying to block him, and it caused the running back to stop. I think it was Josh Jacobs, sure. And then he kind of reversed his field, and there was T.Y. McGill flashing in. So it's kind of an Armstead McGill tag team on that 4th and goal to get that stop. And a turnover.
Okay, so hey, it's been great having you. We're gonna wrap it up pretty soon. Just got a couple more questions before we do that. Chat, you guys have been awesome. Make sure to shout everybody out in the chat because we have a great turnout right now. Give me a score prediction for the Seahawks 49ers playoff game. Let's hear it.
Oh wow. I've been saying that I think the 10-point spread is too much. I think that because we're divisional, because it's a third game, because I think the refs will help the Seahawks, let's be honest. I think it's going to be something like 28-21 or 28-23, something like that. Niners.
Okay, yeah, it's got to be Niners.
Yeah.
I dropped my score prediction in the chat. I'm saying 32-13. Low the Truth says 33-17. If you guys want to drop your scores, go ahead. 31-17 for Raphael. Yeah, man. I hopefully we just continue this streak of putting up 30 points a game, or we're averaging 33 right now. But if we keep doing this whole 30, the Purdy 30 is what I want to call it. We keep doing the Purdy 30, good things are going to happen in the playoffs. That's how I look at it. Okay, platform 246 is 27-13. There you go. Oh, what's up, Shardal? 34-17. Shardal, bro, the last show I was trying to drop the link for the callers, and I don't know why you didn't see it, but I dropped it about at least 8 times, and I don't know why you didn't see the link to call in on the post-game show, but I was mentioning earlier, I'm going to make it more of a habit to do call-ins on the post-game shows, and we might do a full call-in show on either Friday or Saturday. It's still in the works. Okay. Cowboy Angel says he wants a 50 burger. Hey, I'd love to see a 50 burger. That'd be awesome. Kind of like Georgia Tech. What did they put up yesterday? 65 points or 64 points or something, or that was crazy in the national championship game. Raphael, again, like and subscribe, everyone. Appreciate that. Got a couple questions for you really quick before we wrap up. So Adam Peters' name has been dangling around. D'Amico Ryans' name has been dangling around in terms of a new coaching job. Adam Peters, possibly a GM job. Any thoughts on all these possible moves that may happen?
I mean, I don't blame people for wanting to raid our front office. We've done such a great job with personnel, and it's really starting to show, now that we're doing so well. So, I think D'Amico's gone for sure. The only thing that would keep Adam Peters here is I know his wife likes the Bay Area. That's our only hope, I would say, of keeping him.
He grew up a 49er fan, actually, Adam Peters. I think he's from the Bay Area too, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know, to be honest. It would make sense.
I know that he grew up with Niner fan. I saw a picture of him with some Niner gear, at least. So I'm not sure I forgot where he actually grew up, but he has 49er, bloodlines in terms of being a fan. And I love the fact that this Niner team, though, does have the, what we mentioned CNC earlier, and, CMC's dad played for the Niners and won a Super Bowl with us. He also played at Stanford, coached under Bill Walsh, another 49er connection, played with John Lynch at Stanford, and, Shanahan's dad coaches, McCaffrey's dad. It's just all this intertwining with a 49er family. I love it, man. And some people are cementing, they're ready to put up CMC as a 49er legend already. I don't know what you think, but
yeah, I'm ready.
And this playoff run could definitely cement his legacy. Without that, if we hoist up number 6, that Lombardi Trophy. Joey Mahoney says, if we lose Adam Peters, that would piss me off. Oh, me too. I don't know how true it is, but I've been hearing rumors that Adam Peters was very involved in terms of our lower draft picks and selecting those guys and us having success on those players. Not sure if you know much about that, but
That's what I mean. Nobody really knows unless you're in there. But yeah, that's what I've heard, and it stands to reason because we've lost a lot of the other people, Mayhew and some of the others, and we just keep trucking on. So I don't think it's John Lynch, and I don't think Kyle spends that much time on the later round players. So I definitely believe it's Adam Peters. I don't have any proof, but my intuition and people that are smarter than me think so. I'll trust them.
Got it. Low. I hate hearing this. He said the Cards requested an interview with Adam Peters. I do not. Oh my gosh, that pissed me off. But hey, let's just win out in these playoffs.
Get them
let's
both
get that
out of the division. Out of the division.
Yeah.
No Rams,
exactly.
no
What's
Cards,
the other guy
no
too?
Seahawks.
Carthon.
Rand
they're mentioning his. Yeah, Rand Carthon. Yeah. Hey, so everybody in the chat, appreciate all of you guys here. You guys are awesome. You guys made for a great show. It was one of those weird times that I had to do a show, but Ted agreed to come on, and I totally appreciate that. Ted, tell everybody about what you got going on, your channel and your Twitter and everything else, and let everybody know where they can find you.
Sure, yeah, you can find me at TedH6 on Twitter, Ted Talks Ball on YouTube, Ted_Talks_Ball on Instagram. I got Young Heavy coming on at 4 in about half an hour. I got Raj from RSF 49ers coming tonight at 6:30. Busy day tomorrow. I've got Alice Hagans. She's a Seahawks fan, coming at 10 a.m. and a bunch more great folks tomorrow afternoon. So yeah, come check out TED Talks Ball. I post everything on Twitter, and come see what I got going on. I'd love to have you. Come like and subscribe. It really helps me and Bet Bashar here. So show your support and help us out if you can.
Thank you, Ted. You've been awesome. Let me see what's up to Crazy Juice. I don't know if he's a new guy, but if you're a new guy on the channel, definitely hit that subscribe and like button. We appreciate you. He says, "Go Niners, let's beat the Seagulls, sea chickens." You got to fry up those birds, man. We did it last week. These are another set of birds that we got to fry up. First and Ted tomorrow. Hey, I want to say this. Ted Talks, his channel, Ted Talks Ball. Ted H right here is like one of the hardest working guys on YouTube. He pumps out videos like clockwork, man. This guy, within a blink of an eye, he's got guests on his shows and does like 4 or 5 shows per day. It's crazy, man. The way you run your channel is just amazing.
Thanks. Well, and Raphael, that's a good one to point out. Obviously, Aaron and I do First and Ted every Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. So I'm not sure if tomorrow is my channel. I think it's his. So we'll get that going as well too.
Ted. Aaron's a great guy. Aaron from 49ers First Takes. Check him out. I collab with him. I'm gonna might bring him on my channel later this week for that call-in show. We'll see how that works out. Anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching 49er Minded. Where we get into the minds of 49er fans, keep repping those Niners and stay 49er minded. Peace. Let's go. Beat the Sea Chickens.
Beat the Sea Chickens. Thanks, Bashar.
Come on, 49er fans, let's get it.
Because it's 49er mind.
We gotta do this one time for the Empire.
It's 49er mind. It's 49er mind.
We gotta get that brick by brick done quick.
49er mind.
Yo, we can't listen to them haters, man.
49er mind.
We from the Bay.
49er mind.
We them San Francisco 49ers.
49er mind.
We got that red and gold blood inside.